Hello everyone, this is Flatline, and today I'm going to be doing a PvZ video, and can't even talk today. And this is going to be a build order for PvZ, and this is going to be showcasing that gateway expand that I posted I would say maybe 1 or 2 months ago on how to execute the opener. And this is going to be showing you the transition from the opener. So if you want to know the opener, you can check it down. I will leave the link, but from there I'm going to post in the description the transition from it, of how you should scout and when you should do the build and whatnot. So anyways, we're just gonna ×2 this because it's just the opener. Just gonna go 9 pylon, then 13 gateway, and a typical response for Zerg if Protoss is not going to scout, usually they'll have it at the second overlord. If you don't see a probe, coming, you can kind of get this hatchery. Now you do have to watch out for any kind of like proxy 2 gate from Protoss if you're a Zerg player. But this overlord, and I know Hendralisk and he knows me, don't really do that kind of style. Anyways, you get 16 inner minerals. From there you should be rallying your probes into the gas itself. Go 1-1, then 2-2, then 3-3. Get your cyber core whenever you can afford it. Start up a zealot. Get your 3rd pylon as well. Should be starting a 2nd zealot as well. Get your work gate started. Make an additional probe. After you have 3 in each gas and 16 on the metals, make 1 more probe. That should be used. That probe is going to be used to make that nexus, and then behind that probe, you're going to be getting that mothership core. Meanwhile, you're going to have your 2 zealots moving out on the map. You're going to be going towards the Zerg's natural right up front. You're just going to be buying some time while you wait for your mothership core to come with your army. You also want to make sure he's not getting a 3rd. If he's getting a 3rd, you want to kind of put on some kind of pressure against it. Force him to make a lot of lings. And here we go. So the 2 zealots are going to be coming over here. I'm going to be able to kill off a couple of drones here. And am I able to kill off this queen? I think I'm able to kill this queen off. Yep, kill off a queen in the process and able to keep my mothership core alive. So that's awesome as well. Meanwhile, I'm back at my base, adding on my 2nd, 3rd, 4th gateway, going up for my sentry and a 2nd sentry as well. Also have a mothership core right here, kind of denying of this space a little bit longer than usual. And got that drone as well. That's pretty neat. So that's one of the cool things about the gateway expand. You get that mothership core pretty early in the game. It's really hard for them to get a 3rd. If they get a 3rd before, let's say they went 3 hatch and then the gases and whatnot against the gateway expand, you should be able to put a lot of pressure on that with 2 zealots and a mothership. Get a very good position right here, where you're like between the hatchery and the minerals. And anytime they're gonna have the zerglings come in, you just move the zealots like right here, so you can reduce the surface area for the zerglings, and you trade cost efficiently. Alright, so throw down your forge and twilight council at the same time. This is generally right at when you get 5 sentries. Once you have 5 sentries, you should be able to get that. Warp in your 6th sentry, get your double gases as well. I'm gonna be getting some zealots. It just looks like the game that I had against Root Cats, which you can check out on my YouTube channel. But except he didn't do a hatchery block. Spoiler alert. Anyways, you want to have some proxy pylon being set up when you move out. You want to move out around 8 minutes is the latest. Generally, you can try to move out once you have 6 sentries and a couple of zealots with you. So he sees me moving out here. This is one of the best maps to actually execute this build, because it's there's so many narrow pathways on this map. It's really calling for some kind of sentry style from Protoss. You can use the force fields to kind of make it even more narrow. You can close it off. Just everything goes really well for you. Look at this. He doesn't have that many units here. Okay, that means it's just a free base. Look at this. 3 force fields pretty much knocks it off. He has to go all the way around, but by the time he goes around, it's gonna be too late. Should be able to kill off this hatchery on time. 3 comes with those roaches. Pushing him further away, and there is the recall. Kills off the hatchery, forces a lot of roaches, loses his 3rd. And that's the cool thing, back behind this, right when your forge and your twilight council is done, you need to start a +1 attack, get blink, start up your dark shrine. You actually start the dark shrine depending on the feel of the game. Generally I start the dark shrine right after blink, because you're going to be warping in nothing but zealots, right? You're not going to be warping in any stalkers. The only time you start warping in stalkers is right when the attack's pretty much done, and the pressure that you did is pretty much done. That's when you start warping in some zealots. So anyways, you do want to get up to 3 more. You want to add 3 more gateways, and you do want to cut probes. I stopped at 48, but you generally should have only 44 probes at your main base, or at your both bases mining. 16 on the minerals, 3 in each gas, and then that extra probe that you have should be making the proxy pylons for you to advance even further. You can see I have 4 DTs, and this is what really happens. You have the DTs to kind of throw them off balance. You kind of kill off a couple of drones here. I'm trying to move these guys back with my army here. He actually picks out both of those DTs. That's pretty smart by him. But he still hasn't really checked back over here at his base, so he's losing a lot of drones here. So you're wondering what happens. Why is this actually working a lot? It's because if Zerg sees 6 sentries, very rarely do you see like a DT transition. You get these DTs pretty quickly behind this once that Twilight Council is done, which doesn't take too long to actually finish. The Dark Shrine does take a lot though. For anybody like puts that in the comment, it does take a long time to actually finish, but the Twilight Council doesn't take that long. Once again, he actually gives me this kind of positioning right here. You can see some units over here on this ledge not working out to the best of him right now. This force field is in a really good spot, cutting off even more. See all these hydras back over here stuck. They're not really doing anything at this point. They're just sitting there trying to get into the action, not really doing that much damage. And so from here, it just comes down to blink micro. So if you really like blink stalkers, it's probably one of the my favorite blink builds that I have against Zerg. He's gonna have to give up this base. He just doesn't have the economy. You can see his gas is really low. And this is all because of he's down to 45 drones. He lost a lot of drones back over here from the DTs that I sent at his base. Alright, so usually you could kill him right here, but Hinderlisk, being the Gosu that he is, it actually takes a little bit longer for me to actually kill him. In the sense that it prolongs where at the point where he has to all in me to actually finish off this game. Anyways, I'm going to try to do it one more time. I'm going to try to actually push into him and actually win the game. If you're in this situation where you're like, I did a lot of damage, and you just cannot push against him, he just has too much against you, just fall back and expand and put on some kind of like soft contain against him. This is what I mean. I have a lot of units over here still in the present on the map. He pretty much can't drone up. He pretty much has to make a lot of units at this point. I did warp in some zealots because you want to have something to buffer here. Look at this. He's doing the best he can. He's using the whole position trick with his workers to kind of disrupt the AI of these zealots there. Gonna be warping in some DTs. Where's that DT? Usually, when you go for this DT shrine build, what I like to do as well is actually put them at the extra bases, one right here possibly, and another right here, to kind of keep him in check on his bases. You want to make sure you know when he's expanding, when he's not expanding, something like that. So that way you can kill it off. In fact, you can see I had to send a DT over here. Cancels this building, so he's down this base. So he's down to still 2 base, and Zerg does not want to be in 2 base, especially when he's going Roach Hydra against me in the PvZ matchup. So we're gonna go ahead and engage once again. Now once this attack fails or it does not kill him, you see he's pretty much almost dead. He has only 29 drones, but he's at the point where it's like taking, he has a lot of hydras, and he's just executing this pretty damn well. I need to expand behind this. I do have some DTs with this army. So the DTs are there if he does have an overseer, but he actually does. Once I spot the overseer, I instantly I try to make an Archon as soon as possible. Or not. Wow, just make me look dumb. You can see he just has enough units. He has enough Hydras to actually combat this. Enough Roaches to take in damage. Oh, I shot my own Stalker. But anyways, my money is getting pretty high. You can see my main is pretty much almost saturated, but at the same time that means he's pretty much drying up on his as well. Not as much as me though, because I've been stuck on 2 base for quite a while. He had a 3rd base that he was mining from before. Anyways, sending that extra DT over here. I want to make sure he doesn't have that expansion this as well. In the meantime, I am just still having map dominance, getting this expansion, getting our robotics, getting +3 attack as well. The Robo is questionable. Maybe I should have just gone for Storm and just go into Charizard Storm with Blink. The transition from here is all up to you. I would say the Storm one was probably the best thing I should have done though. Just thinking about it. Now you want to warp in some sentries with your army because you do want to have some force fields. But nonetheless, we are gonna have my rebuilding that mothership core. Alright, so while this is pretty much over at this point, I mean we are tied in supply, which is not the best thing for Zerg, but I do have a 3rd on the way, and I also have a Colossus or Robotics Bay on the way as well. While this is going down, I'm just gonna recap a little bit more about how the build or the transition works. So I will post the link of the opener itself. You can check out that YouTube link that I will put in the description if you want to know about that. This is more of the transition after that pressure. So after you pressure with 6 sentries and a couple of zealots, usually you move out once you have 6 sentries and like 1 to 3 zealots with your army. Move out at that time, warp in nothing but zealots to, you know, put on some pressure at the 3rd. Anyways, we're going to be attacking over here, but definitely not going to win this fight. Just going to recall back over here. I'm going to be waiting for this Colossus to come over here. We do have +3 attack on the way. The +3 attack is questionable. Maybe I shouldn't have afforded that or gotten that. Because the upgrades are important, but they're not important in this stage. They're really important in late game. Because it exponentially gets better for your army the more units you have. It actually affects them. Whereas if you have like, is it better to have like 4 army units with +3 attack, or use that extra money that you could have had with the +2 attack with like an additional 3 more units with that? Something like that. I don't know if that ramble kind of confuses you. If that does, then I'm sorry. But anyways, going back, he's gonna be pressuring here, but I mean he's not gonna be able to bust me. I'm gonna warp in some more zealots and sentries. Sentries, like I said, are really good. You do want to have them. So you kind of cut off his army like that. But going back to what I was saying, the transition. Once you have 5 sentries, you should get your forge, your twilight council, and your double gas. You can get a 6th sentry as well. You see I'm using up a lot of minerals when I'm saying about this, and that's why you should be able to afford that extra sentry. And then once you have those extra sentries, you warp in, 1 or 2 zealots while you're moving out. Make sure you do have a probe out on the map to place those pylons. A general time to actually send a probe, the safest time, is probably when you're pressuring with those 2 zealots and mothership core. You can send a probe out on the map, which should be after you place, basically once you place this 4th gateway, you can send that probe out on the map somewhere to hide and get ready to set up a proxy pylon. You don't want to set it too early because they are definitely going to be looking at on the map. The least amount of info is the best, so you don't really need to send that out. The time you want to put that proxy pylon is about the time you throw down or you get your 6th sentry. After that 6th sentry that you warp in, that's when you want to put down that proxy pylon, because that next warp in, those zealots that you do, that's when you're moving out, and then you can warp in the remainder at the proxy pylon, which you should be meeting up with your army with the mothership core. Attack at the 3rd. Once the Twilight Council is done and the forge is done, start +1 immediately. Chronoboost that. You should stop making probes at this point because you should generally have 16 probes at each mineral on each gas and 3 on each gas as well at each base. So you're going to start up +1. You're going to start blink, and then you want to get your DT shrine as well. If he has a floating overlord, you can try to get a stalker there to deny it. If he does see the dark shrine, obviously you can just cancel it and then go from there. If you're wondering when or the transitions of like what happens if he's got this or that, what happens if he's going for that double evo ling heavy style, then you actually don't go for blink, and you kind of tell what's going on with the hallucinated phoenix. And when you're pressuring, if he has nothing but lings, just heavy amount of lings, and you see the double evolution chamber and just a spawning pool in the roach one, you kind of assume that he's not going to go for roaches. So you would actually cancel the blink and get charge, and instead of the dark shrine you would actually get the templar archives, because the zealot and high templars work hand in hand. One is just nothing but minerals and no gas. The other one is very, very low on minerals and high on gas. So you get the most out of it when it comes to archons and zealots with your army. And then you go up to like 8 or 10 gateways with that composition. The other thing you need to note is if they're getting burrow, you want to make sure you get a robotics as soon as possible. Generally, I usually get the forge if I see them getting very early roaches and they are upgrading from their roach one. When I send that hallucinated phoenix in there, they have the layer, they're researching something from their roach warren. Generally means that they are going to be investing a lot into the roach warren or roaches, so you want to just get the robotics for an observer. And of course, if you see the hydralisk den with that general, then you just get a robotics bay and go into Colossus from there. And you can either play all in or you can go and expand behind that. So those are pretty much the only things I could deal with. If they go for mutas, you should be able to just win straight up with the blink, with blink stalkers. There shouldn't be a way for them to hold a third base. If they go for swarm host, like I said, we want to get a robotics pretty soon in the game. And I generally would just expand against it and just go up to double robo colossus with any kind of, harass with blink stalkers here and there. But yeah, so anyways guys, thanks for watching. I know this was probably not the best build order kind of thing, because it really isn't about build order, it's more about the transition. So I guess it's not a build or a build vid, more of a transition vid. But whatever. So anyways guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.